Hey, what's up guys? I have a bit of a PC emergency right now and all projects have to be put on hold and I have to jump over to a different project that's just has to get done like pronto. And that brought me over to the Craigslist pile of computers and the 780 SFF. As some of you guys know, I have kids. I have a 5-year-old boy and a 4-year-old little girl, and the other 780 SFF, that is actually my little boy's computer. I built it for him a couple years ago. It had the a Q9400 and a 750 Ti in it, and then I did all those other mods and stuff, and that's his computer. He uses it every day. For the most part, nobody else uses it, but since the last 6 months, my little girl, she has really started playing a lot of video games. She plays Roblox and Minecraft and Lego Worlds. So that has led to my kids arguing over the computer, who's going to play next. And I'm really sick of it. And if you're a parent, you know that the best thing to do when both kids want something is to get the exact same thing. You get the exact same toy. They can both have the same exact toy. There's no arguing, and that's why I've decided to make this little SFF 780 into her computer. I need to get this thing ready. It also needs a GPU, and I'm kind of short on cash right now, so I can't really buy a GPU. So what I'm gonna do is try to use what I have already, and that's where this package comes in. So let's open this package up and see what's in there and get this thing cleaned up and ready to go. And it's in a nice just brown box. Cut this open. Bam. We got a PCIe extender cable, and hopefully this is going to be able to let me modify this computer and use a GPU that I already have, the GTX 750. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to shoehorn this GPU into this little case. This thing is fairly dirty. I mean, they haven't cleaned it for a long time. It still has this big hard drive in it. I'm going to be using the hard drive caddy a little bit like I used that caddy before to make the fan mount and stuff. But this time we are going to be attempting to mount a GPU right there, and then we're going to use the ribbon cable to connect it to the PCIe lane. Try to get a couple things out of the way. We are going to take this hard drive out of the caddy, and I've never done this before. It's a completely new project, so it might go smooth, it might not. I did kind of eyeball the size of this caddy, and it looks like it's gonna be able to hold the GPU just fine. What I'm probably gonna do, I'm not sure yet, but because this one has this little built-in fan, I'm probably going to be using a different caddy because I actually have another one over in the drawer. This is gonna be a bit of a challenge. Alright, I've been staring at this for a minute just to try to come up with a plan. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to cut this off right here, and we are going to start trying to eyeball and attach it where it needs to be on the graphics card. I think I'm just going to use my trusty 10 snips and start cutting this off. Alright. This piece is basically going to go somewhere like this. Let's bring the PC back over here. Maybe I should just start snipping this and kind of open this up a little bit. Remove that grate from the rear. You gotta start somewhere. And making room for the graphics card, I/O is probably the best spot to start. Alright, I might need to get some more stuff out of the way, like the PSU. Alright, PSU is getting set to the side. I'm going to try to get this little plastic bracket off without breaking it. A couple little tabs. Alright, a couple on the inside right here. There we go. And this top bar right here is going to wind up being fairly weak, but hopefully if it needs it, we'll be able to, you know, strengthen it in some way. At this point, I need to grind out this square. Pretty much like this area needs to go bye-bye. Since we're kind of getting deep into this operation, I think it might be time to remove this motherboard. Alright, let's go ahead and clean this thing up and make it look a little better. So instead of cutting this bracket at all, I think I'm just going to remove it and then I'm going to flatten this. Put it back on the card. It looks like I'm going to be cutting that bracket in half. We're getting closer to having this fit. This little piece that I wound up not cutting out is actually hitting into the DVI now. I think I'm going to go ahead and chop this out. Every time I do a mod like this, I can't wait to do it the second time so it turns out that much cleaner. Alright, I got this trimmed up now, and that's pretty much where it will be sitting. I might have been able to leave this top like square pattern right here, and if I ever do this mod again, I'll definitely not chop that out right away, just to try to add more, you know, stability to this little piece of metal going across there. But it's actually not even weak, to tell you the truth. It's still pretty strong. But now I need to get this graphics card laying a little more level. I'm gonna like mark a little spot where I need to cut, and then we're gonna cut it and try to notch it in there and see if we can get it to this whole thing to just drop a little bit, probably by about close to ½ an inch it looks like. So I took a Sharpie and I just kind of marked it. See that blue dot right there? That's where I'm gonna cut right now. Since I already have this thing, you know, sitting here, I'm gonna go ahead and clean up these edges a little bit. The notches that I cut, I want the GPU shroud to just notch in there, and it looks like it's, you know, lined up as far as sticking into those notches, but they need to be widened up and trimmed out a little bit. I enlarged those gaps a little bit, and now the shroud just kind of fits into those slots. Let's take it over to the computer and see if we can get it to sit level. Set that there and clip this into place. Ooh, I like that. That's looking pretty good. So I've been thinking a lot about how I'm going to secure the front edge of this GPU. I could do it easily, just, you know, drill a hole right here, and I could screw little screw in there and secure it that way. But I really want it to be tool free. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to be taking this overhang where where the actual bracket is overhanging right there, and bending it at a little 90-degree angle, and then cutting a little slit in this metal right here, so when I push the GPU in, this little tab will feed right into a little slot, and that way you won't be able to wiggle it back and forth or up and down. It'll just I'll just try to make it as tight as possible. I stacked a bunch of double-sided tape on this side. That way I can actually remove the whole GPU, and this will actually stay where it's supposed to be. Alright, I got those pieces of sticky tape on there. Now I'm just going to squeeze. See what I mean? Now we got that bracket kind of double-sided taped on there. So I said it was like kind of stacked, but that's okay. It still served its purpose. See how we got that bracket on there now? That's starting to work out a little bit. I think it's gonna work. To make this easy on myself, I'm going to mix up a little bit of 2-part epoxy, and I'm just gonna put a little bit of epoxy right where this fan shroud meets this plastic, and just epoxy it in right there at these little joints. And after I have that dry, then I can go ahead and reinforce it with some screws or little bolts through here. Even if I did want to take this bracket off in the future, it wouldn't be too hard to cut this. That should be enough just to tack it in place where we need it. Once I let this thing totally dry, the epoxy really made it solid. I had planned on putting 2 bolts, but now I'm just going to put 1 right in the middle. And now I'm just going to drill a hole. I'm kind of wedging it in between the plastic. So we'll put this little screw right through there. I should put a little lock washer on it. Seems like it kind of needs one. Now all we need to do is secure it in the front here. And like I said before, I think I'm going to be just bending over this tab. So this is what I'm talking about right here. I think I'm just going to put a little slit right here. I might have to like start it with the Dremel and then get a little hand file and kind of file the rest of it out. I'm just slowly working this little file down into that crack to open it up. Now let's put that graphics card back in and see if it opened up that hole enough. It looks like that little slot now is about the right size. It's just a tiny bit high in this corner, so I'm gonna grind that a tiny bit. And then this square right here, I'm going to be bending this little tab over so it fits perfectly into this square. I'm kind of marking it where I need to bend it. Alright, first I'm just going to put a little notch right along this line so I can fold that little tab in. Bend this little tab without screwing everything up. I got 2 tabs on each side. Basically, when you install it, just line it up with this little slot, stick it in there. Ooh. Oh, that's nice. Look at that. Look at how solid that is. Pull it right out. Oh, that one's sticking a tiny bit. Maybe we'll have to grind that or file that one a tiny bit more. Let's try to remove this thing again and see how much it's sticking. Oh, that's not sticking. I just have to pull it straight back. I was kind of like pulling it up and it was binding. That's perfect.